The alien ship Seeker's prize came out of hyperspace like a silver needle breaking through dark fabric. Captain Nala pressed her four-fingered hand against the viewing window and watched the unknown star system spread before them. 3 planets orbited the yellow sun, and the third one showed signs of life. "Captain," said Crix, her science officer, "I'm reading energy patterns from the third planet. They don't match anything in our databases." Nala nodded. The Veltari had been exploring space for over 1,000 years, and they knew the signatures of every major civilization. This was something new. How many life forms? Hard to tell. The readings are strange, like the planet is hiding something. On the surface of that planet, in the city called New Busan, Governor Jiwon was drinking morning tea when the alarms began. The sound was soft but urgent, 3 short beeps that every person in the settlement knew by heart. Unknown ship in orbit. Jiwon put down her cup and walked to the window. The city looked peaceful. People walked along clean streets between white buildings. Children played in small parks. Gardens grew food between the houses. But Jiwon knew what visitors could not see. "All stations, this is Governor Jiwon," she spoke into her communicator. "We have visitors. Begin Protocol 7. In the Central Command bunker, 15 levels below the city, Defense Coordinator Hyunwoo was already moving. His fingers danced across control panels as information flowed onto dozens of screens. The alien ship was 300 kilometers above them. One ship, medium size, likely a scout vessel. "Governor," Hyunwoo's voice came through the speakers. "The ship appears to be scanning us. Standard exploration pattern." "Let them scan," Jiwon replied. "They'll see what we want them to see." Above ground, the transformation began. To alien, eyes watching from space, nothing seemed to change. The city still looked like a simple farming settlement. But now every building had thick metal walls hidden behind its pretty exterior. Gun ports opened in what looked like flower boxes. The park where children played sat on top of a missile battery that could destroy a battleship. The people of New Busan moved with calm purpose. They had practiced this thousands of times. Parents sent children to safe rooms. Workers left their jobs and went to battle stations. In 30 minutes, a peaceful city became a fortress, and no one on the alien ship noticed. Chief Engineer Tae Hyung stood in the power station that looked like a water treatment plant. "All systems green," he reported. "Iron Wall is ready." Iron Wall was New Busan's greatest secret. Hidden in the mountains around the city were massive weapons that could punch holes through starship armor from thousands of kilometers away. The alien scanners would see only rocks and trees. Captain Nala studied the readings from her ship's sensors. "The settlement appears to be agricultural," she told her crew. "Population roughly 2 million. Technology level seems basic, just power generation and communications." "Should we make contact?" asked Crix. "Standard first contact protocol," Nala decided. "Send a greeting signal." The message traveled down to New Busan in the common galactic trade language. "Greetings from the Veltari Exploration Service. We come in peace, seeking knowledge and friendship." In the command bunker, Intelligence Chief Yunji smiled as she read the translation. "They're using Protocol 7 Alpha," she told the others. "Standard. Exploration greeting? Very polite." Governor Jiwon considered her options. New Busan had been isolated for 200 years, ever since their colony ship had been damaged in a solar storm and forced to land here. They had always known that someday other space travelers would find them. They had spent 2 centuries getting ready. "Send a reply," Jiwon ordered. "Welcome message, standard diplomatic language. Invite them to send down a small group to meet." Yunji typed the response. "Welcome to our system. We greet you in peace. You may send a small delegation to meet with our leaders. Please maintain your current orbit for everyone's safety." On the alien ship, Crix read the message aloud. "Interesting," Captain Nala said. "They have good communication systems for a farming colony. And did you notice? They asked us to maintain orbit for everyone's safety." That's an odd thing for a primitive world to say. "Maybe they're worried about our ship falling on them," suggested the ship's pilot. Captain Nala wasn't so sure. Something felt wrong about this place. Her people had contacted hundreds of worlds, and most primitive civilizations either ran in fear or worshipped the visitors as gods. These humans seemed prepared. Down in New Busan, Commander Minho was thinking the same thing from the other side. As head of tactical analysis, he studied everything they knew about Veltari ships. His computer screens showed detailed blueprints that his people had put together from intercepted communications and careful observation. "Governor," he reported, "their ship design follows standard Veltari patterns. Single hull, energy shields, plasma weapons, no obvious innovations. They build for exploring, not fighting." Weapon strength? Their main guns could level several city blocks, but our point defense systems could stop their missiles, and Iron Wall could cut their ship in half. Dr. Sunho, the chief scientist, looked up from his own analysis. "Governor, I've been studying their communication frequencies. These people have never seen real resistance. Their equipment is designed for dealing with worlds that can't fight back." Jiwon walked to the main display screen. It showed a three-dimensional map of the star system with the alien ship marked as a red dot. Around the map, smaller screens showed data about the ship, its crew, and its capabilities. Information that should have been impossible for an isolated farming colony to obtain. 200 years, she said quietly. 200 years we've been getting ready for this day. Our grandparents started building these defenses. Our parents improved them. We perfected them. Every person in this city knows how to fight. Every building is a fortress. Every system has a backup, and every backup has a backup. She turned to face her staff. They think they found a simple farming world. They're about to learn something about humans that the galaxy doesn't know yet. Hyunwoo spoke from his station. "Governor, the aliens are preparing a shuttle. Small craft, probably carrying their diplomats." "Let them come," Jiwon said. "Show them to Conference Room 1. Conference Room 1 was actually on level 3 of the command complex, surrounded by enough armor and weapons to stop an army. But to visitors, it would look like a simple meeting room in a government building. As the alien shuttle descended toward New Busan, Captain Nala watched from her ship. The city looked peaceful and quiet. She could see farm fields and small factories. Nothing that suggested military capability. But something in her gut warned her to be careful. "Captain," said Crix, studying his instruments, "I'm getting some strange readings. There are a lot of power conduits under that city, more than a farming settlement should need." "Keep scanning," Nala ordered. "I want to know everything about this place." But she wouldn't learn everything. Not for a long time. Because the humans of New Busan had learned the most important lesson of survival in a dangerous galaxy. Always be ready for anything. And never let your enemies know how ready you are. The alien shuttle landed in what looked like a simple parking area beside a modest government building. The visitors had no idea they were surrounded by hidden weapons and watched by thousands of trained defenders. The first contact between humans and aliens was about to begin, and the aliens were about to discover that sometimes the most dangerous thing in the galaxy is a species that has had time to prepare. The alien shuttle touched down on the landing pad with barely a whisper. Ambassador Keth stepped out first, followed by 2 security guards and a cultural specialist. They wore environment suits that gleamed in the afternoon sun, and their movements were careful and precise. Governor Jiwon met them at the entrance to what appeared to be a simple government building. She wore a plain blue uniform and smiled warmly. Behind her stood 3 advisors who looked like ordinary civil servants. None of the aliens suspected that each human was armed, and that the building around them contained enough firepower to destroy a city. "Welcome to New Busan," Jiwon said in perfect galactic standard. "I am Governor Jiwon. We are honored by your visit." Ambassador Keth bowed in the Veltari fashion. "The honor is ours, Governor. I am Ambassador Keth of the Veltari Exploration Service. We are pleased to make contact with your people." As they walked into the building, Commander Minho sat in a room 3 levels below, watching everything through hidden cameras. Around him, dozens of analysts studied every detail of the alien visitors. Their equipment, their movements, their behavior patterns. Within an hour, they would know how fast the aliens could move, how their weapons worked, and what their weak points were. "Interesting," Minho said to his team. "Notice how they walk. These people have never expected to be attacked. They move like tourists, not soldiers." Intelligence Chief Eunji was running a different kind of analysis. Her computers had recorded every signal from the alien ship since it arrived. Now she was breaking apart their communication codes and studying their technology. They're using quantum encryption, she reported to the command staff, but it's an old system. We cracked this type of code 15 years ago. I can read their messages in real time. Above ground, the diplomatic meeting continued. Governor Ji-won led the aliens to a conference room with large windows that showed the peaceful city outside. They sat around a wooden table and were served tea in simple clay cups. Your settlement is very impressive, Ambassador Keth said. How long have your people been here? 200 years, Ji-won replied. Our ancestors came here when their ship was damaged. They decided to stay and build a new home. And you've done well, Keth said, looking out the window at the clean streets and green gardens. Though I notice you seem quite isolated, do you have contact with other human settlements? Ji-won smiled. We keep to ourselves. We find that's often the safest approach. What Keth didn't know was that at that very moment, Yoonji was using quantum communication arrays to speak with 17 other human colonies scattered across the galaxy. Each settlement was receiving detailed information about the Veltari ship and its crew. If these aliens proved to be hostile, they would face not just New Busan, but a network of human worlds that had been preparing for war for 2 centuries. Captain Nala remained on her ship, studying the sensor readings that kept getting stranger. Crix, she called to her science officer, run another deep scan of that city. Something's not right. Crix worked at his instruments for several minutes. When he looked up, his face was troubled. Captain, the power grid under that city is enormous. They're generating enough energy to run a major industrial world, but we can only see small factories and farms. Where's the power going? I don't know. The energy just disappears, like it's being absorbed by something we can't detect. In the command bunker, Chief Engineer Tae-hyung smiled as he watched the alien ship's scanning attempts. They're trying to penetrate our stealth systems, he reported. Should I let them see more? Not yet, replied Defense Coordinator Hyun-woo. Let them stay curious. Curious enemies make mistakes. The meeting above ground continued for 2 hours. Ambassador Keith asked polite questions about human culture, history, and technology. Governor Ji-won gave polite answers that revealed almost nothing. But both sides were learning. Keth was starting to realize that these humans were more sophisticated than they appeared. Their language skills were perfect, their technology was advanced, and they seemed remarkably calm about meeting aliens for the first time. Ji-won was learning that the Veltari were exactly what her people had expected to encounter eventually. An advanced spacefaring race that was used to being the most powerful group in any room. They were confident, slightly arrogant, and completely unprepared for humans who might be their equals. Governor, Keth said as the meeting wound down, we would like to invite you to visit our ship. You could meet our captain and see our technology. It might help our peoples understand each other better. That's very kind, Ji-won replied, but I prefer to keep both feet on solid ground. Perhaps your captain would like to visit us instead? After the aliens left, Ji-won went down to the command center to hear the full analysis. The room buzzed with activity as specialists from every department shared their findings. They're exactly what we expected, Commander Minho reported. Advanced technology, but they've never fought anyone who could fight back. Their ship has strong weapons but weak armor. They rely on shields that our weapons could overload. Dr. Sunho had studied their equipment. Their technology is about 50 years behind ours in key areas. They're still using fusion power while we've moved to matter conversion. Their computers are fast, but not as smart as ours. Yoonji had the most interesting news. I've been reading their ship's communications. They're reporting to their superiors that we're a standard primitive agricultural world with no military significance. They recommend we be offered membership in something called the Galactic Commerce Union. What does that mean? Asked Ji-won. Based on their message traffic, it means they want to control our trade and foreign relations in exchange for protection from other alien races. Ji-won sat down heavily in her chair. This was the scenario her people had feared most, not invasion or destruction, but absorption. The aliens wanted to make New Busan into a dependent colony that would provide resources and labor while the Veltari made all the important decisions. Options? she asked. Commander Minho pulled up tactical displays. We could destroy their ship easily. One shot from Ironwall would do it. But that would bring more ships, and eventually we'd face their entire fleet. We could negotiate, suggested Dr. Sun Ho. Try to get better terms. Hyunwoo shook his head. They're not negotiating. They're dictating. This is how they've dealt with every primitive world they've found. They make an offer that sounds generous but gives them control. Yoonji looked up from her intelligence reports. Governor, I think it's time we showed them what they're really dealing with. These people need to understand that we're not some helpless farming colony. Jiwon thought about her ancestors, who had crashed on this world with nothing but damaged ships and determination. They had built New Busan into a fortress that could defend itself against anything the galaxy might send. Now it was time to find out if their preparations had been enough. Set up another meeting, she decided. Tell Ambassador Keth we want to discuss their offer in detail, but this time we're going to show them a few things they don't expect. On the alien ship, Captain Nala was growing more worried by the hour. Her deep scans had revealed that the human city sat on top of a massive underground complex that her instruments couldn't penetrate. The power readings were off the charts, and her communications officer had detected encrypted signals going out from the planet to unknown destinations. Ambassador, she called Keth on the communicator, I think these humans are more than they appear to be. My scans show military-grade installations under their city. Impossible, Keth replied. They're farmers. I've seen their technology. It's barely above pre-space age. Then explain why they're generating enough power to run a battle fleet. But Keth had already made up his mind. Tomorrow he would present the humans with the standard offer: join the Union or face isolation. He had done this dozens of times before. It always worked. He had no idea that the humans had spent 200 years making sure it wouldn't work this time. The second meeting took place in the same conference room, but this time Governor Jiwon had made some changes. The wooden table was gone, replaced by a metal surface that gleamed under the lights. The walls now showed screens instead of windows, and the screens displayed information that made Ambassador Keth very uncomfortable. Governor, Keth said as he sat down, these displays are quite impressive for a farming community. Jiwon smiled. We believe in being prepared, Ambassador. Please tell us about this Galactic Commerce Union you mentioned. Keth had given this speech many times before. He spoke about the benefits of joining galactic civilization, the protection the Union could provide, and the prosperity that would come from trade with advanced worlds. He made it sound generous and helpful. Of course, he added at the end, membership requires certain commitments. You would need to follow Union trade regulations and accept our guidance on military and foreign policy matters. For your own protection, naturally? Naturally, Jiwon agreed. And if we choose not to join? Well, that would be unfortunate. Isolated worlds often face difficulties. Pirates, hostile neighbors, economic problems. The galaxy can be dangerous for those without proper protection. In the command bunker below, Commander Minho was watching through hidden cameras and listening to every word. Classic protection racket, he said to his staff. Join us, or bad things might happen to you. Intelligence Chief Yoonji was tracking something more interesting. The alien ship is moving, she reported. They're changing orbit to a more advantageous position. Weapons range. Governor Jiwon touched a control on the table. One of the wall screens changed to show a detailed map of the star system. A red dot marked the position of the Veltari ship, along with its speed, course, and weapon status. Interesting timing, Jiwon said casually. Your ship is moving to attack position just as you're explaining the dangers we might face without protection. Keth's eyes widened. The screen showed information that should have been impossible for primitives to obtain. How did you... Ambassador, Jiwon interrupted. I think it's time we were honest with each other. She touched another control. The screens around the room filled with data that made Keth's blood run cold. Detailed technical specifications of his ship. Complete crew roster with names and positions. Analysis of their weapons, shields, and defensive systems. Even personal information about Captain Nala and her officers. We've been monitoring galactic civilization for quite some time, Jiwon explained. We know about the Veltari Republic, the Commerce Union, and your methods of dealing with new worlds. We also know that your ship has enough firepower to destroy our city. Keth tried to speak, but Jiwon wasn't finished. Of course, we also know that our defenses could destroy your ship in less than 5 seconds. Would you like to see how? Before Keth could answer, the room's speakers crackled to life. This is Defense Coordinator Hyun-woo. Governor, we have weapons lock on the alien vessel. All iron wall systems are armed and ready. Another voice joined in. Chief Engineer Tae-hyung here. Power levels at maximum. We can fire on your command. Commander. Minho reporting. Tactical analysis complete. Target's weak points identified. Probability of successful engagement, 100%. Keth looked around the room in growing panic. These weren't farmers. These were military professionals with technology that surpassed anything in his experience. Now, Ji-won continued calmly, let's discuss your offer again. You want us to give up our independence in exchange for protection from threats like pirates and hostile neighbors. But what if we don't need protection? What if we are the threat that others need protection from? She touched the table controls again. The screens now showed a view from space, looking down at New Busan. But this wasn't the peaceful farming city the aliens had seen before. Now they could see the hidden truth. Massive gun barrels emerged from mountainsides. Missile launchers rose. From beneath the streets, shield generators powered up with crackling energy. The pretty gardens and parks slid aside to reveal weapon emplacements that could level a continent. We call it Iron Wall, Ji-won explained. Planetary defense system, plasma cannons, rail guns, particle beams, and some weapons your people haven't invented yet. Each gun can punch through the armor of a battle cruiser. We have over 300 of them. Dr. Sunho's voice came through the speakers. Governor, should I demonstrate the railgun system? Please do, Doctor. Use target designation Alpha 7. On the screens, they watched as one of the massive guns swiveled toward space. A small asteroid in the outer system was highlighted in red. The gun fired with a flash of blue light. The projectile traveled at 15% of light speed. When it hit the asteroid, the explosion was visible from 3 star systems away. The mountain-sized rock simply ceased to exist. Impressive range, Ji-won noted. Your ship is much closer than that asteroid was. Keth finally found his voice. This is impossible. Our intelligence reports said you were primitive, agriculture and basic manufacturing. No space travel, no advanced weapons. Your intelligence was exactly what we wanted it to be, replied Intelligence Chief Yoonji as she entered the room. We've been intercepting your communications for 20 years. We know your exploration patterns, your contact protocols, and your expansion plans. She sat down across from Keth and opened a datapad. The Veltari Republic has contacted 47 primitive worlds in the last century. 38 joined the Commerce Union. 9 refused and were isolated until economic pressure forced them to comply. None were ever given a real choice. We decided to give ourselves a choice, Ji-won said. The choice to be strong enough that no one could force us into anything. Commander Minho appeared on one of the screens. Ambassador, we've also been tracking the rest of your exploration fleet. 7 ships in nearby systems, all following standard search patterns. They think they're hidden, but we can see them all. The display showed a map of local space with Veltari ships marked in red. Each ship had detailed information about its crew, weapons, and mission. The question now, Ji-won said, is what happens next. You came here expecting to find helpless farmers who would be grateful for your protection. Instead, you found people who don't need protection and don't want to be controlled. Keth was sweating inside his environment suit. What do you want? To be left alone. We don't want to fight you, but we will if we have to. We don't want to join your union, but we're willing to trade as equals. We don't need your protection, but we're not your enemies either. She leaned forward. Unless you make us your enemies. That would be a very bad idea. On his ship, Captain Nala was reading sensor data that terrified her. The human city was revealing weapons that shouldn't exist. Power readings were climbing toward levels that could threaten her entire fleet, and her communications officer had just reported that all their encrypted channels had been compromised. Ambassador Keth, she called on the communicator, I strongly recommend you accept whatever terms they're offering. We are seriously outgunned here. Captain, Keth replied, his voice shaky. I think we need to reconsider our approach to this contact. Governor Ji-won smiled. I'm glad you're being reasonable, Ambassador. Now, let's talk about how our peoples can coexist peacefully. But first, I have something else to show you. The screens changed again, showing star charts that covered hundreds of light years. Red dots marked human settlements scattered across the galaxy. New Busan isn't alone, Jiwon said quietly. We've been in contact with other human colonies for over 50 years. Colonies that, like us, were thought to be lost or destroyed. We've all spent the last 2 centuries getting ready for this day. She pointed to the map. 17 worlds. Ambassador. Each one as well defended as this one. Each one watching this meeting very carefully. Each one ready to respond if something happens to us. The room fell silent except for the hum of electronics. Keth stared at the map, understanding finally dawning on him. They hadn't found one primitive world. They had stumbled into a network of fortress worlds populated by humans who had turned paranoia into perfection. So, Jiwon said, shall we discuss trade agreements between equals? Or would you prefer to explain to your superiors how you started a war with an enemy they didn't know existed? Ambassador Keth stared at the star map showing 17 human worlds, his mind struggling to process what he was seeing. Each red dot represented a colony that galactic intelligence had written off as lost or destroyed decades ago. Instead, they had been growing stronger in secret. This is impossible, he whispered. Our surveys showed these systems were empty or uninhabitable. Governor Jiwon smiled. Your surveys saw what we wanted them to see. It's amazing what you can hide when you have time to prepare and good reason to stay hidden. Intelligence Chief. Yoonji activated another display. Let me introduce you to our neighbors. The main screen lit up with communication windows. One by one, faces appeared. Human leaders from across the galaxy. Each spoke briefly to identify their world and confirm their readiness. Governor Park from New Seoul, said a woman with graying hair. Our stealth technology is online. No one knows we're here unless we want them to. Commander Kim from New Incheon, reported a stern-faced man. Exotic matter weapons fully operational. We can delete matter at the molecular level. Dr. Lee from New Daegu, said a woman in a lab coat. Genetic enhancement program successful. Our people can survive in any environment. One by one, the colony leaders checked in. Each world had specialized in different technologies. Together, they formed a network that surpassed anything the galaxy had seen. Keth felt his knees go weak. The Veltari Republic thought they were the dominant power in this region of space. They had no idea that humans had been building a hidden empire right under their noses. How long? He asked. We started making contact with each other about 60 years ago, Jiwon explained. At first it was just radio signals, then quantum communication, then trade and mutual defense agreements. We've been preparing for the day when galactic civilization would find us. Commander Minho appeared on another screen, calling in from his tactical center. Ambassador, we've been studying your people's expansion patterns for 20 years. We know every trade route, every military base, every political alliance. You're not the only ones with exploration fleets. The displays around the room changed to show detailed maps of Veltari space. Trade routes were marked in blue, military installations in red, political boundaries in green. The level of detail was staggering. We've had observers in your space for years, Yoonji added. Your security is designed to keep out primitive civilizations. It doesn't work well against people who understand your technology better than you do. Dr. Sunho's voice came through the speakers from his laboratory complex. Governor, should I show them the probability calculations? Please do, Doctor. New displays showed complex mathematical models, combat simulations, economic projections, political analysis. Every scenario the computers could imagine, all showing the same result. If the Veltari fought the human network, they would lose. We don't just plan for war, Jiwon explained. We plan for every possible outcome. Our computers have run millions of simulations of first contact with galactic civilization. Most scenarios end peacefully, some don't. We're prepared for all of them. On his ship, Captain Nala was having her own crisis. Her tactical officer had just reported that long-range sensors were detecting other ships entering the system. Not Veltari ships, human ships. Captain, her communications officer called out. I'm receiving signals from 7 different vessels. They're human ships, and they're demanding we identify ourselves and state our intentions. Through the bridge windows, Nala could see the newcomers. sleek ships that moved with predatory grace, their hulls dark and angular. They didn't look like any human vessels in the Veltari databases. "Open a channel," she ordered. The face that appeared on her screen was human, but enhanced. The man's eyes glowed faintly blue, and his skin had a metallic sheen. When he spoke, his voice carried harmonics that suggested cybernetic implants. "Veltari vessel, this is Captain Han of the New Daegu Defense Force. You are in human space, by invitation only. State your intentions immediately." Back on the planet, Keth was learning just how much trouble he was in. The humans weren't just showing him their defenses, they were demonstrating their intelligence capabilities. "We know about your secret military bases," Yunji said, displaying locations that were supposed to be classified at the highest levels. "We know about your expansion plans for the next 50 years. We know about your internal political conflicts and which faction is likely to win." She paused to let that sink in. "We also know that your exploration fleet wasn't sent here by accident. You've been looking for us specifically." Keth's blood ran cold. "That's not possible. We had no idea you existed." "Really?" Jiwon touched her controls again. The screens showed intercepted Veltari communications dating back months. "Your Admiral Voss has been tracking anomalous energy signatures from this region for over a year. He suspected someone was hiding here. The messages were clear evidence that the Veltari had been hunting for the human colonies, trying to find the source of mysterious signals their deep space monitors had detected." "You came here to investigate, not to explore," Jiwon continued. "Your orders were to locate and assess any hidden civilizations in this sector. Well, congratulations, you found us." Commander Minho joined the conversation via video link. "The question now is what you're going to tell Admiral Voss when you report back. Because make no mistake, we will know exactly what you tell him." The displays showed real-time intercepts of communications between Keth's ship and the Veltari fleet. Every message was being decoded and analyzed instantly. "You can tell him the truth," Jiwon suggested. "That you found 17 human worlds with technology that exceeds Veltari capabilities and military strength that could threaten your entire republic. That would be accurate." "Or you can lie," added Yunji. "Tell him we're primitive and helpless. But we'll be listening. And if you send warships against us, you'll discover just how non-primitive we really are." Dr. Sunho's laboratory complex connected to the meeting. "Governor, the demonstration is ready." "Proceed, Doctor." The screens showed space around the planet from multiple angles. Suddenly, objects that had appeared to be asteroids began moving, dozens of them, changing course and accelerating toward predetermined positions. "Stealth stations," Jiwon explained as Keth watched in horror. "Each one carries enough firepower to destroy a battlecruiser. They've been in your sensor blind spots since you arrived." The fake asteroids took up attack formations around the Veltari ship. Captain Nala's vessel was completely surrounded by hidden weapons platforms that had been invisible until they chose to reveal themselves. "We have similar installations around every major star system in this region," Commander Minho added. "Over 2,000 stealth platforms, all linked by quantum communication, all ready to respond to threats." The human ships that had entered the system moved closer, their designs becoming clearer. They were built for war, with armor that seemed to absorb light and weapons that hummed with barely contained energy. "The new Soul ships are running full stealth systems," reported Captain Han from the enhanced humans of New Daegu. "Your sensors can't detect them unless they want to be detected. The new Incheon ships are carrying exotic matter warheads that can disintegrate anything they hit." Governor Jiwon stood up and walked to the main display. "Ambassador Keth, your people have been the dominant power in this region for a long time. You're used to being the strongest, the most advanced, the ones who make the rules. That time is ending." She gestured to the star map showing the human network. "We don't want to replace you. We don't want to conquer anyone or build an empire. We just want to be left alone to live our lives in peace. But if anyone threatens us, they'll find out what happens when you attack people who have spent 2 centuries preparing for war." The room fell silent except for the constant stream of data flowing across the displays. Weapons reports, ship positions, communication intercepts, tactical analyses. The humans weren't just strong, they were ready. "What do you want from us?" Keth asked finally. "Recognition," Jiwon replied. "We want the Veltari Republic and the Galactic Commerce Union to acknowledge that human space is sovereign territory. We want trade agreements between equals, not protection rackets. We want to be left alone to develop in our own way. And if our government refuses? Jiwan's expression didn't change, but her voice carried a note of steel. Then you'll discover why we spent 200 years getting ready for this conversation. The emergency session of the Veltari High Council convened within hours of receiving Ambassador Keth's report. Admiral Voss stood before the curved table where 12 council members sat in their ceremonial robes, their faces grim with worry. 17 worlds, Council Leader Jara said, her voice tight with disbelief. 17 hidden human colonies with military technology that exceeds our own. How is this possible? Admiral Voss activated a holographic display showing the human network. Our intelligence services failed, Council Leader. We classified these systems as uninhabitable or empty based on long-range surveys. We never sent detailed exploration missions because they seemed worthless. And now? Asked Councilmember Brix. Now we face a potential enemy that has been watching us for decades, while we remained completely unaware of their existence. On New Busan, Governor Jiwan was conducting her own emergency session. The command center buzzed with activity as reports came in from human colonies across the galaxy. The Veltari weren't the only ones calling emergency meetings. The Zephyrian Empire is mobilizing their border fleets, Intelligence Chief Yunji reported. They detected our demonstration and they're nervous. The Orion Federation is asking questions about the energy signatures they recorded. Everyone in this sector knows something big just happened. Commander Minho studied tactical displays that showed ship movements across dozens of star systems. It's exactly what we predicted. Show the galaxy that humans are strong, and everyone starts to worry about their own security. Dr. Sunho connected from his research complex. Governor, I've been analyzing the quantum communication traffic. At least 6 major civilizations are trying to contact each other to discuss the human problem. They're scared. Good, Jiwan replied. Fear makes people careful. Careful people are less likely to do something stupid. Chief Engineer Tae-hyung's voice came through the speakers. Iron Wall systems are at full readiness across all 17 worlds. If anyone wants to test us, we're ready. But Jiwan knew that readiness wasn't enough. The human colonies had revealed themselves to prevent absorption by the Veltari, but now they faced a different problem. The entire galaxy was watching, and some civilizations might decide that the humans were too dangerous to be allowed to exist. Status report from all colonies, she ordered. One by one, the human leaders checked in. Each world was prepared for siege conditions. Food stores, ammunition, fuel, medical supplies, everything needed to fight a long war was already stockpiled. New Seoul is invisible to all sensor sweeps, reported Governor Park. We could disappear tomorrow, and no one would find us for decades. New Incheon has deployed exotic matter mines throughout our system, said Commander Kim. Any ship that enters, without permission, will be disintegrated. New Daegu has enhanced 300 volunteers for deep space operations, added Dr. Lee. Our people can survive in any environment and strike anywhere in the galaxy. The reports continued. Each colony had spent 2 centuries developing specialized capabilities. Together, they formed a military force that could fight the entire galaxy if necessary. Admiral Voss was presenting similar information to the Veltari Council, but from the other perspective. Our tactical analysis suggests that a direct confrontation with the human network would result in severe casualties, possibly total defeat. You're suggesting we simply accept their demands? Asked Councilmember Torx. I'm suggesting we consider all options carefully. The humans have demonstrated capabilities we didn't know existed. They've been preparing for this confrontation longer than most of our officers have been alive. Council Leader Jara studied the tactical projections. What if we form an alliance with other civilizations? Surely the combined fleets of multiple worlds could overwhelm them. That assumes the other civilizations would join us, Voss replied. Our intelligence indicates that several major powers are already considering opening diplomatic relations with the humans. They're not all seeing this as a threat. He was right. Across the galaxy, political calculations were changing rapidly. The Altarian Collective had already sent a diplomatic mission toward human space. The crystalline hegemony was preparing trade proposals. Some civilizations saw opportunity where others saw danger. Back on New Busan, Jiwon was making preparations of her own. Yunji, I want you to prepare full disclosure packages for every major civilization in the galaxy. Technical specifications, territorial claims, trade proposals, defense treaties. Let everyone know exactly what we're offering and what we'll do, if threatened. Already done, Governor. Courier ships are standing by to deliver the packages simultaneously to prevent any one civilization from gaining an advantage. The quantum communication array activated as messages poured in from across human space. The network was coordinating its response to galactic attention with the same precision they had used to prepare for war. Governor, Commander Minho reported, we're detecting massive ship movements throughout the galaxy. Everyone is repositioning their fleets. Some are taking defensive postures, others look like they're preparing for offensive operations. Any immediate threats? The Veltari have 3 battle groups moving toward our region, but they're still 2 weeks away. The Zephyrian Empire is mobilizing, but they're focused on defending their own territory. No one seems ready to attack us directly. Dr. Sunho's analysis was more optimistic. The math is working in our favor, Governor. Our economic projections show that most civilizations would benefit more from trade with us than from trying to conquer us. War is expensive. Commerce is profitable. Jiwon nodded. The human colonies had designed their revelation to offer the galaxy a choice: profitable cooperation or costly conflict. Most rational leaders would choose profit. But not all leaders were rational. Governor, Yunji interrupted. Priority message. From our deep space monitors, the hegemonic order is assembling a fleet. Big one. They're calling it a peacekeeping force to contain the human threat. The hegemonic order was exactly what the humans had feared most, a coalition of civilizations that believed in forcible unity. They absorbed smaller civilizations and imposed their version of order on entire sectors. Size of the fleet? Jiwon asked. Over 300 ships, including 12 dreadnoughts. They're not planning to negotiate. Commander Minho's tactical displays lit up with threat assessments. Governor, even with all our preparations, fighting a fleet that size would cost us heavily. We could win, but victory would prove to the galaxy that we're too dangerous to be allowed to survive, Jiwon finished. We'd win the battle and lose the war. The command center fell silent as everyone considered the problem. They had prepared for war, but not for the political consequences of being too good at it. New plan, Jiwon decided. We're going to demonstrate something the galaxy has never seen before, a civilization that's powerful enough to destroy its enemies, but wise enough not to. She activated the communication array to address all 17 human colonies simultaneously. All governors, this is Jiwon. We're implementing Protocol Omega. It's time to show the galaxy what humans do when we're given a choice between war and peace. Across human space, the response was immediate. Colonies that had been preparing for siege began opening their doors instead. Stealth ships decloaked and transmitted peaceful intentions. Weapon platforms powered down from attack status to defensive mode. But most importantly, the humans began broadcasting something no one expected. Detailed technological specifications for medical advances, agricultural improvements, and manufacturing techniques that could benefit every civilization in the Ma galaxy. We're not just offering trade, Jiwon explained to her staff. We're offering to share knowledge that could save millions of lives and improve billions more. Let the galaxy choose between destroying us and benefiting from what we've learned. The quantum communication array carried the message to every major civilization. Humanity offers partnership, not domination. We will defend ourselves if attacked, but we prefer to heal, build, and explore together. It was the ultimate test of human strategy. They had spent 2 centuries preparing for war, and now they were betting everything on peace. 6 months after first contact, the galaxy had become a different place. The Galactic Commerce Union had been restructured to include the human colonial network as a major power block, with voting rights equal to the oldest civilizations. The changes weren't just political, they were practical. Governor Jiwon stood in the newly constructed diplomatic center on New Busan, watching through reinforced windows as alien and human children played together in the courtyard below. The building sat on top of the same command bunker that had coordinated their military preparations, but now it hosted delegations from 47 different worlds. The Crystalline Hegemony delegation wants to discuss joint research projects, said her aide, handing her a datapad filled with meeting requests. "The Altarian Collective is offering to share their terraforming technology in exchange for our medical advances." Jiwon smiled. The humans had gambled on offering knowledge instead of showing only strength, and the strategy was working better than they had hoped. In the research levels below, Dr. Sunho worked alongside scientists from 12 different species. Their current project was ambitious, a cure for the genetic plague that had devastated the Veltari colony worlds for centuries. Human medical technology, combined with alien biological knowledge, was close to a breakthrough. "The protein synthesis is working," announced Dr. Kala, a Veltari researcher who had joined the project 3 months earlier. "Your cellular regeneration techniques are exactly what we needed." The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The Veltari had come to New Busan planning to impose their protection on primitive humans. Now their own people were being saved by human medicine. Commander Minho had adapted his role from military strategist to peace architect. His new assignment was designing joint defense systems that protected all civilizations in the region from external threats. The same paranoid planning that had prepared for war was now preventing it. "The early warning network is operational," he reported to the morning briefing. "We have sensor platforms monitoring every approach to inhabited systems. If anything hostile comes from outside the galaxy, we'll know about it months in advance." The FAF platforms were built with human technology, but crewed by volunteers from every member civilization. Former enemies worked side by side, united by the understanding that real threats came from outside their region, not from each other. Intelligence Chief Yunji had perhaps the most dramatic career change. Her intelligence network, once focused on military threats, had become the galaxy's most effective diplomatic tool. She could predict political problems before they became crises and suggest solutions before conflicts erupted. "The border dispute between the Zephyrian Empire and the Orion Federation is escalating," she reported. "But I've identified 3 economic incentives that would make cooperation more profitable than conflict for both sides." Her recommendations had prevented 7 potential wars in the past 6 months. The same information gathering that had prepared humans for battle was now building lasting peace. Chief Engineer Tae Hyung supervised the most visible change of all: the construction of joint research stations throughout human space. The Iron Wall weapons that had once threatened galactic civilizations were being converted into tools for exploration and construction. "The Deep Space Telescope Array is almost complete," he announced. "Once online, we'll be able to see further into the galaxy than anyone has before. The crystalline scientists think we might be able to detect other civilizations beyond our current contact range." Captain Nala of the Veltari had requested permanent assignment as liaison to New Busan. She stood in the observation deck of the diplomatic center, watching human and alien engineers collaborate on designs for the next generation of exploration vessels. "I still can't believe how wrong we were about you," she told Governor Jiwon as they watched the work below. "We thought we'd found primitives who needed our guidance." "You found people who had learned to be ready for anything," Jiwon replied. "Including peace. That was always our first choice, but we had to be prepared for the alternatives." The transformation hadn't been easy. Some civilizations had initially refused to deal with the humans, seeing them as upstarts who had gained too much power too quickly. The hegemonic order had dissolved entirely when most of its member worlds chose to join the new galactic coalition instead. But the real test had come when external scouts from outside the galaxy had been detected approaching inhabited space. The Joint Defense Fleet, commanded by human and alien officers working together, had met the intruders at the galactic rim. The encounter had lasted less than an hour. The external scouts, seeing a unified force of advanced civilizations working in perfect coordination, had chosen to withdraw rather than test their strength. The message was clear. This galaxy was protected. "Governor," her aide approached with another datapad. "The Education Council wants to expand the exchange program. They're requesting permission to build a university complex that can accommodate students from 60 different species." Jiwon approved the request. Education had become one of their most successful diplomatic tools. Young people from across the galaxy came to human worlds to study, and human students traveled to alien worlds to learn. The next generation was growing up, seeing cooperation as normal. In the agricultural sectors around New Busan, alien farming techniques were being combined with human efficiency to produce food supplies that could feed growing populations across dozens of worlds. The same infrastructure that had been designed to survive siege conditions was now supporting prosperity. Dr. Sunho contacted her from the medical center. "Governor, we've had a breakthrough. The Veltari plague cure is ready for clinical trials. But that's not the best news." "What is?" "The research techniques we developed can be applied to genetic diseases affecting 17 other species. We're not just saving one civilization, we're potentially saving millions of lives across the galaxy." The evening briefing brought reports from all 17 human colonies. Each world had found its role in the new galactic order. New souls. Stealth technology protected the borders. New Incheon's exotic matter research powered industrial advances. New Daegu's genetic enhancements were being shared to help species adapt to hostile environments. "The transformation is complete," Commander Minho observed. "We spent 2 centuries preparing to defend ourselves from galactic civilization. Instead, we became the force that holds it together." Jiwon nodded, looking out at the city that had once been hidden beneath defensive layers. Now it stood open to the galaxy, its strength proven not by the weapons it could deploy, but by the problems it could solve. "Our ancestors crashed here with nothing but hope and determination," she said. "They built this place to protect their children from unknown dangers. They succeeded beyond their wildest dreams." The quantum communication array crackled to life, with a priority message from the deep space monitors. For a moment, everyone tensed, old habits from the days when any unexpected message might mean war. But the message was peaceful. Another previously unknown civilization had been detected, far on the galactic rim. They were sending exploration ships, looking for contact with others. "Standard first contact protocol," Jiwon ordered. "Send a delegation. Make sure they know they're welcome, but let them also understand that this galaxy is protected." As the orders went out to prepare for yet another first contact, Jiwon reflected on how much had changed. The humans had prepared for war and found peace. They had built weapons and used them to construct defenses for everyone. They had developed the strength to destroy and chose instead to heal. The galaxy was safer, more prosperous, and more united than it had ever been. And at the center of it all were the descendants of crashed colonists who had learned the most important lesson of survival. The best way to be ready for anything is to be prepared to help everyone. The children in the courtyard below were laughing as they played games that mixed human and alien traditions. They were growing up in a galaxy where different species worked together as naturally as breathing. That, Jiwon thought, was the real victory. Not the weapons they had built or the wars they had prevented, but the future they had created where preparation led to peace and strength, served protection rather than conquest. The humans had been found by aliens who expected to find primitives. Instead, they had discovered teachers who could show the galaxy how to turn fear into cooperation and survival into prosperity. It was exactly what they had prepared for, even if they hadn't known it at the time.